If you look at car sales in America, the best-selling non-truck is the Toyota RAV4. 5 years ago, Toyota introduced a hybrid variant, giving their compact crossover a more efficient model. Now, Honda is 5 years late to the game, but they're showing up with this, the 2020 CR-V Hybrid. Now, the CR-V, like the RAV4 Toyota, is a very important model for Honda. In fact, this baby makes up 60% of their total volume in the US, so this is a very important car for them. I've been flown out to Tucson, Arizona, where we're battling the conditions right now. It's been raining quite a bit, but we're going to go ahead and get the CR-V Hybrid out on the road to see how it stacks up against Toyota's RAV4. But before we do, be sure to hit the subscribe button. It really helps us towards making videos just like this, and hit the notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get the 2020 CR-V Hybrid out on the road. So this is the first hybrid version of the CR-V that there has ever been. It took them a little while, Honda, but I'm glad they've finally done it. Now, there's a few things that you need to know about this hybrid variant of the CR-V. Much like the RAV4, this is actually the most powerful variant when you get the hybrid. So instead of a 1.5 liter turbocharged engine that produces 190 horsepower, that's what you get in the regular CR-V, you're going to get a larger 2-liter unit that works in concert with 2 electric motors to produce a total of 212 horsepower and 232 pound-feet of torque, making this the most powerful and quickest of the CR-V models. You're also going to see a huge improvement of fuel economy. You're going to get 40 mpg in the city, only 35 on the highway where it's not able to fully utilize that hybrid energy, and 38 mpg combined. Now, we've been driving around rural Tucson roads. They're a little bit torn up here. I've been averaging about 39 mpg, which is really good. Although, to be fair, I have averaged a little bit better driving in the RAV4 hybrid. I really want to get one of these CR-V hybrids out on my local roads in Florida to see if I can match what I got in the RAV4. Now, the driving experience is really nice. I think this is actually quieter than the RAV4. Toyotas have had a tendency lately of being a little bit loud, especially at highway speeds. This is not the quietest vehicle I've driven in this class, but it is a little bit more insulated in here, and I do love the way the steering feels. It's very direct. Honda's sensing, which is their suite of safety features, is fantastic. I can go ahead and put my lane keep assist on here, and it will basically do a lot of the steering, keeping me in the lane, even if I don't have my hands on the wheel, although it's not a hands-free system, it's only semi-autonomous. The interesting thing about this CR-V hybrid is that instead of a CVT, which is what the regular CR-V uses, this actually doesn't have a physical transmission. So if I go ahead and floor it here, there's the engine. You're gonna hear, it sounds a lot like a CVT, right? And that's because it's just a direct drive. It's not actually linked to a transmission, but the end result, they used to call it an iCVT. It basically works like a CVT would work. So as you heard there, the engine, you know, it picks an RPM and it kind of drones there, so that doesn't sound great. But when you drive it normally, I'm gonna go ahead and go for some acceleration. It's not too loud. So I think if you drive this like a normal human being, you are going to be pretty happy with it. It's only when you decide, I'm gonna see how loud this engine can be, and you floor it like a nincompoop, that's when it's not gonna sound that great. You do have some drive modes that you can fiddle around here. I've been in econ mode this whole time. There's also a normal mode, so that's just gonna pull back on the throttle. You can do EV mode, although if I push the button, it's gonna tell me that EV mode's not available, and that's because it really only works at like 20 miles an hour for like a mile or so. You're only gonna really take advantage of it if, let's just say, you just pick the kids up from school and you live in a neighborhood, you go through the gate and you have about a mile to get to your house. You could maybe push EV mode and do it on electric power, but you can't get any realistic driving range out of that. If I put it in sport mode, ooh, there we go. Now I get a lot of throttle. It's gonna tighten up the throttle response, make it a little more zippy. I get a little red light on my gauge cluster there, and the steering does tighten up a little bit. I actually enjoy driving this in sport mode quite a bit. And the other element of driving in this CRV that's going to be a little bit different in the hybrid version versus the regular one is the regen braking. So we've got paddle shifters here, but they don't do what traditional paddle shifters do. They don't actually shift gears. There are no gears to shift. So if I pull this one here on the left, it's going to go ahead and put me in regen, and I have 4 different modes for that. So I have 1 little arrow, 2 arrows, 3 arrows, or 4 being the most regenerative. So if I go ahead and lift off the throttle, it's going to slow me down and recuperate energy from the brakes, and that's going to give me more hybrid energy to use later on. That's going to come in handy if you ever want to use that EV mode. So yeah, I really like how the CRV hybrid drives. It's smooth, it's got great safety tech, the power is great and smooth as long as you're not going flat out in it, and this is overall a driving experience that I could really enjoy, and it is quieter than its main rival, the Toyota RAV4. And now that we've checked out how it drives, let's go ahead and pull over and check out the interior of the CRV hybrid touring trim, the most highly loaded of all of them. All right, so now that we've driven the CRV, let's talk a little bit about the interior. We've got the touring trim here, which is the highest trim level. Honda is offering all of the regular CRV trim levels on the hybrid, starting at about $27,700, so a little under 28 grand. It's about $600 cheaper than the cheapest RAV4 hybrid. And like the RAV4 hybrid, you are going to get all-wheel drive as standard. There's no way to get a front-wheel drive CRV hybrid. So a CRV hybrid is about $2,700 more than a regular CRV. But when you factor in $1,500 for all-wheel drive on the regular CRV, this actually becomes quite a good value when you factor in that fuel economy. Now, the one we're sitting in is pretty decked out. It's 37 grand. That's going to be the top end for the CRV, which again is cheaper than the RAV4. You can get that up to 40 grand. And we still have really nice materials, a really nice soft leather steering wheel that is heated. Honda sensing comes standard, so you have adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, all of that good stuff, blind spot monitoring as well, front collision avoidance. The hybrid is a little bit different than the regular one because you get digital gauges here, so there are no physical gauges here in the cluster. You also get this digital shifter, so you push it when I go ahead and toss it into reverse. The one thing this car does not have that the RAV4 does is the bird's eye camera. You just get a regular backup camera, but this is how you do your shifting. You've also got the paddles here for regen and all of your different drive modes. We've also only got heated seats, no ventilated seats like you get in the RAV4, but these are real leather seats, not the soft text that you get on the Toyota. I won't go too deep into Honda's navigation system. You can watch some of my other reviews of the Passport and the Insight and some other Honda vehicles, the Clarity, to get a better idea of this. I think it's fine. Some other journalists complain it's a little laggy and slow, but it does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay available, so just use those. Now, Honda has redesigned this center console area for 2020. We've got a QI wireless charger here because we have the Touring. We've got our 2 cup holders here, as well as this massive amount of space. If I pull back the armrest, I have this huge cubby here that is big enough for a women's purse. Hear that, ladies? You can put your purse here. My mom will be really happy to hear about that. And I can also fold this part down and slide that forward. Now I have a little tray, so I could stick another smartphone there. So Honda has really thought of a lot of storage solutions here. I can also pull that back if I want to have access to the deeper area. And then, of course, I can fold down the armrest and slide it forward so it falls nicely to my elbow. Now, the other area where Honda has really done well with the CRV is its rear legroom. So let's go ahead and check that out. Back here, the Honda CRV has 40.4 inches of rear legroom. Not only is that better than the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, it's class leading, so you just have a ton of space back here. No heated seats available, but we do have 2 USB chargers so the kiddies can charge up the devices. Now let's go ahead and check out the cargo area. Finishing up with the cargo capacity, if I go ahead and open up our power operated liftgate, because we have the highest touring trim, so we get automatic up and down, you have just over 33 cubic feet of space back here. It's a little less than what you're going to get in Toyota's RAV4. Now, folding the rear seats 60/40 style is going to be pretty easy. Honda gives you these little tabs here in the trunk. There are also ways to lower it down from the second row, which is highly convenient. That's going to open to just under 69 cubic feet of space, which again is a little smaller than the RAV4, but I think it's pretty good for the segment. So that was the 2020 Honda CR-V Hybrid. It's a very strong player in the hybrid CUV segment that also includes the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid and the Ford Escape Hybrid. And while I haven't driven the Ford yet, I can tell you how this stacks up against the Toyota. It looks about the same. I think it really just depends on which styling you prefer. This has a more premium interior. It's also a little bit less expensive, but it is missing out on a couple features that I like in the Toyota, like the bird's eye camera and ventilated seats and heated rear seats. Now, overall, the interior of this is nicer, and you do get a bigger back seat, but you get slightly less cargo capacity. I also have a feeling that the Toyota is going to be a little bit more efficient out on the road. So it really just depends on which brand you like better and which company is going to give you the better deal. But I do think that the 2020 CR-V Hybrid is a strong competitor that you should definitely consider. I hope you've enjoyed this video. See you next time.